Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today, alongside the whole mid-season update and Season 2 Reloaded, we got the brand new Armaguerra 43 SMG, both in Warzone and Vanguard. Yesterday, it actually dropped in Vanguard when that mid-season update went live, so I jumped on, I unlocked it, I grinded out the weapon, and today, I wanted to break it down here in Warzone, talk about if it is worth using, if it is, a meta SMG, then also the best loadout for it as well. So, as we go through everything today, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it, and if you're new here, or if you have not already subscribed, around 55% of viewers watching are not subbed yet, and every day I got you covered with all things going on in the world of Call of Duty. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. But let's talk the Armaguerra 43. So first things first, when it comes to actually unlocking this SMG, you need to get 10 hipfire kills in 15 different matches. Now, if you do that in Vanguard, you do have to go through and play the entire match. You cannot back out, otherwise it won't track. But you can go in and use the hipfire PPSH and get 10 hipfire kills. You can go in and use the akimbo double barrels if you wanted to and get 10 hipfire kills. It's a relatively easy challenge. It's just a little tedious, a little bit time consuming. Then obviously you gotta level the weapon up and get it to, max rank to get all the attachments. That's the MP challenge. The zombie challenge is to get like 400 kills on frozen enemies. Not worth the time. It just takes way too long to do that. You can also do the multiplayer challenge in Warzone though. Jump in and do the 10 hipfire kills, and then you can actually back out if you do this in Plunder. I believe Clash 50 versus 50 is actually dropping tomorrow. As of today, if we go ahead, we look at the playlist, it's actually already live. Yeah, we got Caldera Clash, we've got Rebirth Resurgence solos in there as well, the core battle royale stuff. So I'd recommend, if you're just a Warzone player, jump into Clash here and do it there. It should be relatively easy, but that's essentially the way to unlock it. And then when it comes to leveling, you could jump in and go into Vanguard multiplayer and grind it out there with some double XP or whatever. It does take a decent amount of time. Or, just doing the contract spam in Caldera Clash with the bounties and whatnot, super good way to get XP. Or contract spam in Rebirth is also pretty good since we don't have Plunder right now. But first things first, before we break down the loadout for this, I do want to jump in game, test out the recoil for it, test out what I think might be the optimal setup for it, and see how it actually competes. Oh, Rebirth is nice looking. So unfortunately, because there's no Plunder, we can't go in and test weapons as easily as we could before. But while we're in the pregame here, I do want to try and quickly land and test out just the base recoil on the Armaguerra really quick. So let's see if we can just shoot at this door. I'm not controlling this. Honestly, not too bad. Kind of straight vertical with a little bit of left to right. Like if I try and just hold down and control that, you can see it's not too shabby. This guy doesn't like the fact that I was testing recoil though. All right, now real quick, I have an actual build that I want to test here, and I want to see what the recoil is like on my actual build here with these specific mags. You can see the fire rate's kind of crazy. The recoil still though primarily straight vertical. So if I go in and try and control this still, it bounces around a little bit left to right with this first build here, but it's really very controllable, very easy. I don't know if that guy had full health or not, but I kind of just fried him. That didn't seem like that took many bullets. While we have the pregame going on, I do want to see what this TTK is like a little bit. Obviously they don't have full plates. We're still missing one plate, but we can get a decent idea of what the TTK is like here. That guy definitely didn't have full plates. This thing fries. Like absolutely fries. I mean, obviously, as we saw, that's not full plates there, but even in the pregame on 200 health, that's a pretty fast DTK for close range. I think this is going to be predominantly a close range weapon. I do want to build this out in the way that obviously I just had it in game for you guys there, but give you a couple of different loadouts to actually try. So first up, obviously we want to go for the recoil booster just to enhance that TTK even more, get that fire rate up. That's something we see on pretty much every single close range sub as is, so nothing new there. For the barrel, this is where things get interesting. Now the short barrel in a lot of other subs is that go-to because it helps out with the fire rate and it helps that TTK. Not the case here. This is simply movement based. The Perfetto custom, no enemy skulls, better range, worse fire rate, not really into that. The 315 here, better damage, less damage fall off at long range, but it hurts your control a little bit. Luckily though, we can help out with that a little bit there, so I think that's a good choice. The 550 here, better control, better flinch resistance, worse movement. So if you're going for a sniper support build, that's probably going to be the go-to barrel. And then finally we got the 570mm, better accuracy and control, better headshot damage, but it's hurting your body damage and your sprint to fire. You don't really want that on a sub. So it's really between the 550 and the 315. I think the 315 is the go-to choice there. In that pregame test, I was running the MMSC iron sights. That said, those did seem a little bit less ideal for some of that recoil there. I feel like most players are probably going to want to run a slate reflector here just because it's a little bit cleaner. It doesn't necessarily help out with the recoil pattern itself, but I feel like it's a little bit easier to stay on target while dealing with that control. For the stock, very easy choice here. Most of these really aren't movement based, minus folding, better sprint to fire, better movement, obviously ideal for an SMG build. For the underbarrel, because we do have that little bit of recoil there, I feel like hand stop is pretty solid for that, especially with that little bit of left to right movement that you get in the middle there. That is going to help out some with that and make that a little bit more maintainable and easy to use. Now in the test again, I was using the Kurz 72 round mags. Better damage, better range, better velocity. It is going to hurt that control a little bit though, as we saw the recoil is, it's not the worst in the world. There's definitely worse recoil guns, but that TTK does look very good. So I'd recommend this, or I would simply recommend the 9mm 60. This would be your basic extended mag. You could try and do something like the Russian short, which is that, you know, fire rate increasing, but it's only a 34 round mag, which just is not usable. It's not viable, especially for close range fights. That's one knock. You got to stop and reload. You get the finish maybe, but fighting multiple players at once, that's really not ideal. So honestly, I feel like the Kurz is definitely usable. The 72 round mags here, or the 60 if you want just the basic extended mags that are a little bit easier to use with a slightly slower TTK. For the ammo here, because they did end up nerfing hollow point with the whole Season 2 Reloaded update, I don't know if it's really worth it that much anymore, just because a 20% damage range reduction is going to make it so that, like, yeah, gun's really good within 10 meters, but outside of that, it's really not all that good, right? And you want to be using a sub, you know, anywhere between 25 meters and less in most cases. So, you know, subsonic is definitely an option here if you want to stay off the map. That's not a bad choice at all. I feel like lengthen though, while velocity in close range fights is not the most important thing in the world, it's really like the lesser of all evils here. There's just not really many great choices. So I'll go with lengthen for the time being. For the rear grip, I feel like polymer is probably going to be your best bet here. Fabric obviously is nice because that better ADS and that sprint to fire, but with that control, you probably want to minimize it just to make sure you are landing those shots consistently. So polymer is going to help out with that. Perk one I actually really like here. Most of these are not super great. Steady is kind of mess. Sleight of hand, it's all right, but it's not that useful. Vital, as we've talked about before, just is not worth it. Panic, not really a go-to in my opinion. Discard, again, not really all that good. Hard scope though, especially because we do have some recoil here, is actually a very promising perk, which you don't really ever see on the Vanguard subs. You get tight grip here and there. Hard scope though is going to be nice and ideal here. Obviously improved accuracy after aiming down sights for a short time, so I definitely am a big fan of that. And then perk two, fully loaded or quick. As we've talked about before, both of these work just fine. If you want that movement speed, go for quick. If you want to maximize that ammo, go for fully loaded. Like, they're both perfectly fine, perfectly good options there. This setup in general though, I feel like is that good secondary you know, rifle LMG complement that's going to be perfect for those close range fights, specifically ideal for rebirth. Great TTK in general. You know, this would be my go-to recommended setup here. Honestly, the recoil, not awful, great TTK. At the same time, I do also want to talk a little bit about a sniper support build as well. For the most part, I feel like we're going to leave most of these attachments on there, but let's talk maybe dropping the recoil booster for something like the M1929 silencer. Hurts your ADS speed a little bit, but you are getting better control out of that. And then, as we talked about a little bit ago with the barrels, the 550 better control on here as well, which is going to make it a little bit easier for some mid-range fights, you know, in between that 25 and maybe 40 meter range. That would then suddenly be a lot more usable. These other attachments though, I feel like you could roughly stay the same and keep these. Hand stop, I'd still want to stay on there for the better control, just to minimize that in some of those maybe 35-40 meter fights, you know. The Kurz drums again, while they do hurt your control a little bit, they are also helping out with that velocity and range, which is perfect for sniper support. Of course, polymer, obviously we still want on there. You could maybe change the folding stock if you wanted something maybe a little bit more controllable. The standard here actually helps out with horizontal control, which is a little bit more unpredictable. So that wouldn't be a bad option, but it is going to slow you down a lot more than the folding. So I feel like this is really not a bad sniper support build either that you could definitely get away with. But in general, I feel like the go-to is going to be this setup here. Perfect for close range fights. All that said though, that is the best loadout for the Armaguerra 43 here in Warzone. The best ways to unlock it, sort of what you can expect from this weapon. That's going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with all things going on in Call of Duty. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.